Welcome to Faith in the Game, the podcast where faith meets the field and the heart behind the hustle takes center stage. I'm your host, Judy Ingram, and each week I will sit down with current and former college athletes who are living out their faith while competing at the highest levels. We'll talk about their journeys on and off the field, their testimonies, trials, and how Christ shapes who they are as student athletes. Let's get into today's conversation and see how God is moving through faith and the game. In this sixth episode of Faith and the Game, I'm joined by Grace Ledford, a recent graduate of Meredith College and former member of the basketball team. Grace shares her powerful testimony in the ways her relationship with Christ shaped her journey as a Division III athlete. A natural leader among Christian athletes, she reflects on the common themes she's seen in others pursuing faith through sport and how being grounded in God's purpose gave deeper meaning to her time on the court.
Thank you for deciding to chat with me for the project I'm on. I thought the idea of talking to not just people who are student athletes, but who former, and you immediately came to mind because I remember SCA, and it's that was you also not just you yourself as a Christian athlete, you also were surrounded and leading student Christian athletes. So I just want to start this is just how did you get into basketball?
Oh gosh, basketball. Well, my dad is a basketball coach. He's coached at all the levels. So I remember my parents telling me that my dad tried to teach me how to do a bounce pass at age 2. So I started playing in a basketball league at age 5. I was playing competitive AAU basketball starting in the 3rd grade. So I played competitive basketball from the 3rd grade until sophomore year of college.
Sheesh. And then you played volleyball as well, right?
Yes. I played competitive volleyball from around age 10. So that's probably 4th grade, 5th grade. I don't know. Until senior year of high school. So yeah.
So what made you decide to choose basketball over volleyball?
I chose basketball because I thought that I was better at it. And you can play basketball and be shorter. In volleyball, it's harder because even the back row players, which is what I play, defense, there's normally just the libero is the short one, and then the hitters play all the way around. So in volleyball, my position it was a lot more competitive than the rest of the positions, and I didn't have as much quote unquote volleyball skills, I feel as I did basketball, and I like the more physical, tough aspect of basketball, jumping on the floor for loose balls, playing hard defense, rebounding, stuff like that. So I felt like basketball was a lot more me, and I got more confidence from playing basketball.
I feel this is just bringing back memories of
I know.
basketball time.
Yes.
How did you get into FCA?
Yeah, so my mom came on staff for FCA when I was in, I think, around the 5th grade. So she was just part-time, and she took me and my brother to FCA camp. So there's a coaches camp in Black Mountain for coaches and their families. And so we went to that for a couple of years, and then she started being the director of girls camp, which is also in Black Mountain, but it's just for girl or female athletes. And you go and pick a sport, and you grow in your faith while also practicing your sport in that week. So she was the director of the girls camp for 10 years. She just stepped down from that role, but she is the metro area director for FCA in Raleigh. So I grew up what they call a staff kid. So I was going to all of the FCA events, and then in middle school I was a leader for the FCA huddle, and then in high school I was the president of FCA at Broughton High School, and so I led our huddle, which is anyone can come to it. They call it a huddle because it's people from the school come, and it's a club. And then when I graduated from high school, when I was a sophomore at Meredith College, I became the president of FCA there. So I was president from sophomore to senior year, and I just graduated. So yeah.
Oh, congratulations. How are we feeling post-grad life?
Honestly, it's scary, but it's good. I'm looking for a job in sports communications. I'm kind of taking this summer to debrief a little bit, do some things that I might not be able to do once I get a full-time job and, get married and start a family. I worked the FCA wrestling camp, which is kind of funny because I'm obviously not a wrestler, but my fiance was a wrestler. He wrestled at East Carolina for their club team and wrestled in high school and stuff. So I worked FCA wrestling camp as a huddle leader. And then I'm working Dylan's church camp, which is at Cragmont. It's also in Black Mountain. And a bunch of churches from Eastern North Carolina go and like bring their students from their youth group. And then I'm going to the beach with my grandma. So I'm using kind of the summer to really, make sure my resume looks good, apply for a bunch of jobs. I've just been applying. Um, and also planning a wedding. That's been exciting. Kind of next steps, definitely like stepping into a new aspect of my life, kind of taking it day by day. But yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So what is like common things you see when being an FCA leader and like teaching all these different student athletes and like teaching them about God? What is like some common themes that you've had and like all the different leaders and groups that you've been a part of?
Yeah, so I've worked a bunch of camps and I also interned with FCA my junior year at Meredith, and so I led a small group of girls that go to Broughton. So yeah, I've definitely worked with a wide range of different sports, like from wrestlers to volleyball players, basketball players, tennis players, all the things. And so obviously a big thing is a lot of girls put their identity in sports. And when you're at sports camps, a lot of girls that go to these camps either don't know it's a Christian camp or don't care and just want to go to get better at their sport. So as like someone pouring into these young girls, having to kind of break away at the outer exterior of like being an athlete, because for so many people being an athlete is like the biggest part of you and people know you by how you perform in your sport. So when I'm pouring into these girls, I have to like kind of take a step back and realize, where they're coming from, get to know them. Building connections in ministry is huge because someone's not going to tell you about them if you don't care about them. So really showing them that you care about them, you want to know about them. But yeah, a lot of girls put a lot of pressure on themselves in sports, whether that's their parents or to get a scholarship to college or to be popular or cool. So just reminding them over and over again that their identity is in Christ and that, no matter how good of an athlete they are, how bad of an athlete they are, like if they mess up, none of that matters in the long run because God still loves them and they're not defined by their successes, or their weaknesses. So that's a big thing that I try to like remind all the female athletes that like I come into contact with, that their sport isn't the end all be all. And
Yeah.
it is a tool that God's given them to share the gospel and to show based on their actions, based on how they play, like show the light of Christ and how they're different. Like I know when you play sports, especially basketball, there's a lot of attitudes, there's a lot of like tough exteriors, but as a Christian athlete, like playing with grace and with like poise shows like, God's goodness and how you can share his light. Because when you look at two athletes, you like a Christian athlete that's really shining God's light, and then someone that maybe, doesn't, you could definitely tell a difference. So that's another thing that I try to encourage the girls, female athletes that I like talk to, that, you know, your sport is a vessel for Christ. It's not like your identity. So yeah.
Love that. And how much you've like been leading so many different Christian athletes. When did you yourself feel like you took the faith on your own? Like it was your own journey, not just because your parents do USCA or like
Yeah.
when was it like you?
Yeah, so I grew up like heavily in church. Like my parents talked about Jesus all the time. So I can't even remember a time where I like didn't know who Jesus was, or wasn't like surrounded by people like that. And when I was younger, like in elementary school and middle school, I just thought that Jesus was, or God, Jesus, the Trinity, like was someone or something that you should believe in, and that, that's just what happens. You go to church and that's like what you do. But in middle school, I started really struggling with anxiety and I like didn't know what to do. Like I just thought that something was wrong with me. And one night I was in my room and I was having like a severe panic attack. And my mom's best friend had given me a Bible with all of the scriptures that have to do with like fear and anxiety already highlighted. Like that's how the Bible was printed. And it was just on my bedside table because I didn't have like a relationship with God. I just believed in him and knew that I needed to go to church and all of that. So I didn't really connect the dots that I was supposed to go to God when, I needed him. I was supposed to like to pray for his peace and stuff, especially going through anxiety and stuff. So when I was in my room that night, I just kind of like hit rock bottom and I was just like having a panic attack. And so I opened the Bible and it opened to Psalms 23 and I read it just like out loud and I immediately felt peace and I like felt God's presence like there in the room with me. Like I had like a moment where I was like, "Oh, holy crap, like this is like he is real and he is here for me to carry my burden. He died on the cross for me." And I was like that, like literally at that moment it became real to me and I knew that I needed to have a relationship with God and that was that was kind of like the turning point of my faith journey. And so that's what I always tell people. And that obviously not everybody's gonna have like a crazy moment like that, but I did, and that like made it real for me. And I was in middle school, so it definitely. And since then, like obviously walking through anxiety, turning to him, reading scripture, praying, like I don't know how people go through this type of stuff without God. So yeah.
Heavy on that.
Yeah.
Did you ever like feel weird? Did you have like that church go persona in school, like or like the Jesus freak ever connotations, or is that something you never had to go through?
Yeah, I definitely did. I mean, talking to like boys, like
Yeah.
yeah, it was hard because I have like really high standards and it's hard like as a Christian, especially like in middle school and high school, like when you actually, have standards for yourself and you don't just like talk to guys because they like you and like that type of thing. It was definitely hard like telling guys, I was waiting till marriage and that dating somebody that had a relationship with God was like like had to happen. Like I would not waver on that. So yeah, definitely people didn't invite me to parties, didn't like, left me out of things, kind of talked about me behind my back. But I didn't want to be invited to the parties anyway. So I wasn't really like upset about that and I was fine. Like I wore it proudly. Like I was like, call me Jesus freak, like I don't care, you know?
How would you say, how has FCA helped build your faith?
Oh, it's been tremendous. I mean, what everybody says is that it's hard, like being a believer, it's hard without community. And so being a part of FCA and going to all these camps growing up and having my own huddles like at Broughton and Meredith, like being in community is huge. Having like-minded friends is huge, especially like-minded teammates. Like when I played basketball at Meredith, there was just a handful of girls on my team that I like really knew were walking with the Lord. And it was crucial to like my faith to have those types of people in my life to push me to be better, to hold me accountable and vice versa. But FCA specifically, like I my first year as a camper at girls camp, there was a girl in my huddle. Her name is Michaela, and we've served as huddle leaders together, and we're still friends to this day. We met in sixth grade through FCA, and having athletes in your life, so they get you athletically, like they understand what you're going through. A lot of people who aren't athletes don't realize the early mornings, the late nights, the putting in the hours, this like physical stress. So having someone get you on that level, but also like on a faith level, like I said, to keep you accountable, push you towards Jesus, it has made my life like amazing. Like I couldn't imagine my life without FCA. And just what FCA does is, connecting athletes, connecting coaches, reaching schools so that the gospel is shared in schools and that athletes know about the truth of Jesus. And so it's empowering to also be an athlete, to share my testimony, to share the gospel, so that other athletes can hear about it. But yeah, FCA, like what they do is amazing, and it's helped, I know, so many girls like me to, find friends that were like-minded.
Okay, kind of swinging back. How did you get to play Meredith basketball? Like, what was the process of that?
Yeah, so in high school, as you know, we played during COVID, so it was hard for me. I was trying to like figure out if I wanted to play at the next level, but my junior year I realized I wanted to play at the next level, and right after basketball season ended, COVID hit. And so I was like what's gonna happen? Obviously our whole world was unsure. And my mom, it was assistant volleyball coach at Meredith at the time. And so I had been at Meredith a lot. I knew, what the vibes were over there, that it was a very small school, and I knew that I didn't want to go to like a big school like state or anything. So I was like, okay, well, if I want to go to a small school, I probably have a better chance of playing basketball. So I reached out to the coach at Meredith, sent her some of my film. We talked back and forth. This was my senior year, so we only played 5 games our
Yeah.
year. Yeah, we didn't play a lot of basketball, but because of COVID. But yeah, so I reached out to her, and I remember I was with my best friend Crawford, which we were working out at a gym in Raleigh, just like pick up like our dads. Like we just went out there, and my phone was on silent, and the Meredith coach had called me, and I was actually playing basketball, which is a funny story. So I called her back after, and she offered me a spot. I had actually applied to Meredith before I even got an offer. I was probably going to go there regardless, but she offered me a roster spot, and then not long after that she resigned. So the coach that recruited me was not the coach that I played for. The coach that I played for was the assistant coach that moved up to be the interim. So yeah, I was very grateful for the opportunity, and I knew that I didn't want, COVID to be my last time ever playing basketball. That was a big reason why I wanted to play at the next level, because our senior year was so bad, and I was like, this can't be how I go out.
So what was the transition like from playing high school to college basketball?
Oh, it was crazy. I mean, you know how our coach was at in high school. It was very much like kind of everyone plays um like more chill because it's high school. Like you can't expect too much out of high school. We
Yeah.
didn't really have a lot of workouts outside of the season. We never went to team camp, like none of that. So when I got to Meredith, it was like boots on the ground, 2-a-days, like we're running, we're lifting. Like I'd never traditionally lift weights before ever. So that was like a huge culture shock. So I learned like correct form, like how much I could squat, like all that stuff. Um, and it was cool because everybody on the team like wanted to be there because in D3, nobody gets scholarships. So we were all just there because we love basketball and we wanted to play. Yeah, so it was interesting, and we all kind of had that same view on like we're here because we love basketball. Whereas in high school, like not everyone is as serious about basketball, as I was or as we were, So, yeah, it was a huge adjustment, but it was nice. Like I love basketball, so yeah.
So how does it feel now, post grad, no more like competitive basketball? Has it like hit you yet or?
Yeah, it's hit me. I mean, I stopped playing after my sophomore year. Um,
Okay.
because I chose to focus on my studies. There was just a lot happening in the program that I necessarily like didn't really want to continue, and I kind of felt burnout a little bit. I mean, I had been playing basketball for a really long time. But now that I'm graduated, like not in college anymore, everybody throws around the word adulting, having to, figure out full-time jobs, all that stuff. I definitely miss the competitive aspect of playing competitive sports. Like that's always what I craved. Like I'm so competitive. But it's nice to have like freedom to do things, and like obviously when you're playing a college sport, like your schedule is crazy, like you barely have enough time to like go home and see your parents, like so it's been definitely an adjustment to real life, like I said, applying for jobs, stuff like that. But yeah, I definitely could see myself being like a adult rec league basketball league one day. Like don't put it past me.
Honestly, I might need you to hit me up if you do
Yeah.
find if you do find a league. So one thing I remember, like last time we met, saw each other, you were like a, I don't know, assistant coach or coaching for Broughton, which is the team you played for. What was that like?
Oh my gosh, it was amazing. I got the opportunity because my dad ran into the head coach, which the head coach now is not the head coach that we played for, obviously.
Yeah.
Um, so I didn't really know him, but he was looking for an assistant coach, which is a volunteer position, so not paid. He was just looking for somebody that could help him out. And at that point, it was just him and Coach Kendall, so there was no female coaches in the program. And I remember when we played, there wasn't either. Like, and I'm like, y'all need a girl to come in here and shake things up, like show them how it's done. So anyway, I talked to the coach, and it took a long time to get all my paperwork in. Like I had to take CPR, and I had to do background checks and all that. So by the time I could actually start coaching, it was around January, and it was a crazy like full circle moment because obviously like basketball is a huge part of my life, and I, had stepped away from basketball, and I was like, it's calling me back. And so definitely being able to be back there and pouring into the girls, coaching them up, like, um, it was awesome. And seeing it's very rewarding because, I mean, in FCA, like being able to pour into athletes spiritually, um, being able to pour into them, show them the game of basketball, like teach them, but also be there for them like as like a kind of older sister like presence was nice. Like they would come to me with like their boy problems and stuff like that. And definitely getting to share God's love with them too in, a legal way. But yeah, it's been awesome. I'm hoping that I can still coach this year depending on what job that I get. But yeah, I've loved it. And like I said, super cool, like full circle moment.
But I never say it has to be really fun to be able to like, well, I was literally on these courts and now it's like
Yeah, yeah.
all coming and it's like
And telling them about my glory days, like they
so
ask me stuff about like when I played, and like some like the freshmen are like so much younger than me. The seniors, the like upcoming seniors are only 5 years younger than me. So I never played with any of them, which is good. So I'm old and I'm older than them enough that it's not
yeah.
like, oh, you're super young. Like I'm just old enough. So
Mhm. Yeah, I'm gonna say the distance between you and a freshman is like, yo, we're getting old. It's like,
yeah, I'm like,
like
oh
so,
yeah.
so different now. One thing, so with FCA, like your first time you were a leader, was there any like nerves or anything, or oh, am I good enough? Oh, my faith is it strengthened enough to be able to lead these young girls into this? You ever have like that mindset at all?
Yeah, I feel like spiritual warfare is definitely real, and Satan trying to be like, you don't know enough, or what if they ask you this and you don't know the answer. And honestly, like I just had to block it all out because I'm like, I know that the Lord will equip me with the words, like, and just praying through that, being like, God, like give me the words to tell to these girls, like you know them, and just let like you speak through me, sort of thing. But yeah, it's definitely nerve-wracking, especially like sharing your testimony to a bunch of girls you don't know. Like,
Yeah.
because one thing, like in one of my public speaking classes, I learned that like credibility is huge. Like people won't listen to you unless they know something about you to make them want to listen. So yeah, sharing my testimony with them, and like it's hard being vulnerable. I mean, like I'm a very outgoing person, so I don't really struggle talking in front of people. But yeah, there's definitely some doubts when leading, young girls and telling them about God, but all I can do is share my experiences and what I know and tell them to read the Bible and tell them to have, their own personal relationship. And I'm just here kind of as like a guide to help you in your walk. Like I'm obviously not everything that I say is like truth as much as like I want it to be. Like the only truth is the Lord and like the Bible and what God says, and praying through your own relationship with God, like that's the biggest thing. So just giving them the tools is the most important thing. And definitely like over the years I've gotten better at what to say, like how not to be awkward, stuff like that. But at first, yeah, I just kind of had to tune out the noise and be like, no, God's put me in this position for a reason, and like he's going to help me like with what the words to say.
And then you had an FCA at Meredith, right?
Mhm.
What's the difference between like college, high school versus like
Yeah.
out and what's like the difference in like
Yeah. Well, the huddles, like we just meet at Broughton, we met once a week Friday morning, so it's hard because high schoolers don't want to wake up early. But a lot of them, like we had pretty good turnouts, but at Meredith we met twice a month, so every other week on Monday nights. And it was definitely different, especially because Meredith's all girls and we're older, and I was friends with the majority of them, like having classes with them and stuff since Meredith is so small. But the huddles are more like Bible study small group type. So as the president, like I would lead a lot, but I would have leaders that would help and we would play games, icebreaker kind of get to know you stuff. And it was super comfortable. Like the same girls came every time. We tried to invite, other girls from other sports. We tried to get as many sports represented as possible so that we could, reach our campus. And so the girls that are coming can go tell their friends and stuff like that. But camps are just like all boots on the ground. You're leading like a group of either high school or middle schoolers. So like as a college student working at the camps, it's definitely different. But obviously camp is only one time during the summer. So the huddles at the schools are there to, help you throughout the school year so you don't just get on a church high or a Jesus
Oh,
high
yeah.
one time a year. So yeah, the huddles are for you to get plugged in once you get back from camp and to continue growing your relationship with God. So yeah, at Meredith it's been really special because those girls, I'm friends with them, and so we've gotten to grow closer in our friendships and our faith, and it was really special.
I've been talking to a couple of different athletes, and these are something that's been kind of consistent with all of them. So I'm curious if you have it too. Did you guys ever do like a prayer before a game or a prayer after a game with like any of like your teammates?
Yeah, for basketball, at Meredith, we had chapel, so every home game, this lady, her name's Erica Brownlow, would come and we would do like a chapel. So she would kind of do like a devotion for us to kind of hype us up about the game and kind of help center us and ground us into what perspective or what mindset we need to have going into the game. And it was kind of like a routine. We would pray, and it was optional, so not the whole team had to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely crucial to have that time before games because when you're playing basketball, attention's like everybody, emotions are high, it's stressful, people can say things that they don't mean, like stuff like
Mhm.
that. So it's important to definitely, like, when people listen to music and sit on the bleachers and just have alone time. It's that same sort of thing, but remembering, why we play basketball, why we're here, what our identity is in before we go play was super crucial for all of us that decided to go.
It is. So through the ups and downs of being an athlete, what scripture or song or book or anything that you go to like remember like the foundation of Christ? Like what do you go to?
Yeah, my like I told you, my life verse is Psalm 23. A lot of people have one verse, but mine is the whole psalm. So I'll read it. The Lord is my shepherd, I have what I need. He lets me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He renews my life. He leads me along the right paths for his name's sake. Even when I go through the darkest valley, I will fear no danger, for you're with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Only goodness and faithful love will pursue me all the days of my life, and I'll dwell in the house of the Lord as long as I live. So this verse has helped me a lot because it helps give me peace. Like that's something that like kind of struggle with, and I definitely like pray and go to God to about a lot. And so verse 4, like even when I go through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you're with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. So like at Meredith, I had so many like weird injuries. Like I pulled my groin, I had really bad plantar fasciitis in my feet. I had this abdominal pain that had me out for like a week. And so I was just like, even if you go through the darkest valley, I will fear no danger, for you're with me. So through everything, he's with me. And then towards the end, like, only goodness and faithful love will pursue me all the days of my life, and I'll dwell in the house of the Lord forever. So that is my goal, to dwell in the house of the Lord, to be with Jesus in heaven. Like my goal isn't to be the best basketball player ever and to like beat out all my teammates and like me. Like that has never been my goal. Like I love basketball, I love playing, but kind of recentering me into like what it's all about and that I don't need to stress out about if I had a bad practice because like um the Lord is my shepherd. Like that's who my identity is in, and my identity is not in basketball. So yeah, this verse it applies to all aspects of my life. Like I love it.
I love it too. So what's an advice you would give to someone, a new like student athlete who wants to pursue to be a Christian student athlete?
Yeah, I would definitely say, like I keep saying, like be careful to put your like not to put your identity into like sports, and also like it's hard in school. Like people will be like, "Oh, Grace, like you had such a great game last night," or like all this stuff. So it's hard when people are like recognizing you for your talents, but ultimately like giving the glory to God and carrying yourself in a way that people can tell there's something different about you. And knowing, why you're on the court, like, and um making sure that it's not for selfish intent, that it's like to bring glory to the Lord, to spread the gospel, and to use your talents. Like we all have different talents, we all have different gifts. Like God has created us also differently for his perfect design. And so like if you're really good at volleyball, like use those gifts to spread the gospel. Or if you love volleyball but you're maybe not as good, like maybe you sit the bench and like that's okay. Still having a great attitude, not, having bad body language, like making sure that you are, showing God's light and that people can tell that you're a Christian. Like when you tell them, "Oh yeah, I'm a Christian," they're not like, "Oh, really?" Like, making sure that you're showing your faith through everything that you do. And yeah, being an athlete, being a Christian athlete, yeah, definitely all those things. And just making sure that your identity is in Christ at the end of the day.
Are you still doing FCA now, or are
I
you?
mean, yeah, in whatever aspect I can. Like I said, I worked wrestling camp a couple weeks ago, but since like all of the staff for FCA in the Raleigh area, I've like known since I was a baby. So like they'll like invite me to things or I'll help out like when I was an intern, and I'm still like the youngest on staff. And so like I'll help with a lot of AV stuff, like slides, like pro presenter if they need me to make a video, stuff like that. So I'm definitely helping out in whatever, way I can, or helping like volunteer at camps and stuff. So we'll see like how that progresses as I, get a job and stuff like that. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. What's like the dream job? What are you hoping for?
Honestly, I don't know. I used to want to do sports broadcasting, but it's very demanding, and I realize I really love North Carolina, so I don't really want to move. And I don't know. I want to work in sports comm. Like I'd love to work at like ECU or NC State in like the athletic department. Like
Mhm.
I applied to a job at ECU, um, but like director of operations, sports information director, stuff like that.
Okay, well, pray that that all goes for you. And once again,
Yeah.
thank you so much. It's been great to like catch up.
I know, of course.
Thank you for tuning into Faith in the Game with me, Judy Ingram. Hope you tune in to the next one.